Hey, welcome to the Closing Beat, everybody. Happy Friday. How you doing out there? Welcome to a special, quick edition of the Closing Beat because we have a massive, massive storm coming. So I just want to get into this if I can. I assume everything is correct. I see everything is correct. So we're going to dive into it. We're just covering the stock market here today. We'll go through everything. First thing I want to point out is off to the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the performance of the markets. The Dow was the weakest performing area of the markets today. We'll come down here. There we go. The S&P was one of the better performing areas, actually just about the best performing area, so we'll cover that. And we'll go through, maybe if we have time for questions, we'll try to do it, but we're trying to beat a storm because, boy, it is nasty out there. So let me take a look and show you the stock market performers today so you can kind of see what's going on. You've got the S&P 500 there chopping around, just content to be quiet today. Not a whole lot going on. Healthcare led the way today. Healthcare accounted for more than 1/4 of the day's gains there. Tech came in second place largely because of names like PayPal. Had a decent day today, bouncing off that recent pullback overall. And you had MasterCard had a good day up at the top of that resistance range there. Let's draw a line just so you see it. You got it right there hanging out. So we'll see what happens next week with MasterCard, but that was one of the reasons that helped techs be a part of the S&P's gains today. Cisco looking good off the 200-day moving average. Similar pattern there, already starting to move on outside of this range. And so for the S&P, that's what you had rolling on with that one. If you look at the Dow today, the Dow was the worst performer. It was basically thanks to Boeing and the banks. If you look at Boeing pulled back a little bit, about 1.7% on the day, and you had the banks. JP Morgan, a bit weak on the day, just about 2%. All of them, really. Goldman Sachs, there you go. You can see Goldman Sachs. Even Travelers today. Travelers was weak off the 200-day moving average. A little bit of a technical pattern playing out there. And hey, speaking of the S&P 500, let's take a look. The S&P 500, you have currently about 43% of the S&P 500 is overbought. It's a touch higher after today, but about 43% of the S&P 500 is currently overbought, and you have currently 3% of the S&P 500 is oversold overall. So you got some interesting dynamics going on there. Those are record readings on both sides. 43% is a record reading on the high side, 3% is a record reading on the low side there. And so that's what you have overall as far as that's concerned there. No graph? No graph. All right. Moving on, we're going to take a look at the kind of interesting thing here with the S&P. Mind if I share this with you? It's not raining yet, right? We can dive into this. I'm going to see if I can find it because I thought this was kind of interesting. You got a little bit of an interesting dynamic going on out there. You've got, as far as the 30-year yield and the S&P overall, here's what you got. You got a bit of a divergence there. It's kind of weird. Now, the S&P is not known for being right in line with the 30-year rate, but the divergence there in the short term can lead to a few things overall. You could say that it's because the Fed's printing money, there's a lot of loose money, everything going on there, but if that was the case, then why are people not falling for low volatility? Take a look at volatility remains in the upper end of a range, right? So if the markets are really doing that well, the economy's doing that well, volatility would be back near lows, but it's not done that. We actually covered that in the research section to kind of highlight that. So the divergence in the 30-year rate and the S&P with higher volatility spells a market that's not convinced that this should be moving higher overall. So I just want to point that out. We're going to expand on that a little bit as we go through next week, because I think next week you start seeing volatility pick up even more. Our videos this week, you got the couple videos going out. Today we did beating target date funds in a 401k. Monday we did the earnings season expectations, and Wednesday we did some IRS guidance updates. Also our class last night, we covered that for our customers. Yeah, hope that's interesting there. We can try it again. As for your 401k, if you want to take a look at your 401k this week, do we have it? Will it come up? We're looking for the 401k performance, the 5-day performance of your small cap, mid cap, and large cap there. And I'm just going to assume it's not going to come up. No? Can't get the chart to come up there? What if I go like that? Nothing there. All right, moving on. So we'll take a look at the sectors overall. We'll just pop into the sectors here while we try to beat the storm. It's nasty out there. All right, if you take a look at the overall sectors here today, there you go. We're going to pop over here. All right, you got utilities. Utilities continued to be the leader today. They were the leader yesterday. They continue to do that today. The biggest contributors were the strongest names. You got NEE moving back to new highs there. Kind of interesting. And Dominion recovering almost all of the Buffett drop that you saw in there from when they sold a part of their business. Duke Energy and others participated as well, but you did see some weakness today. NRG Energy did not participate in the overall mix. EIX also did not participate. It was up a little bit, but basically showing weakness relative to the markets overall. And you got Atmos Energy weak on the day. Going over to healthcare. Healthcare sticks out, broke out, finally getting the breakout there, and that's the reason why the S&P was higher today, as we talked about there. It's been snoozing for the last 3 months, and today it broke out thanks to Abbott and a couple others. I'll go over ISRG if there's time. Massive, massive move there. 25% of the sector's gains today came from just those two names, Abbott and ISRG. Very interesting there. If you look at healthcare, it's up about 4% year to date already. If you look at real estate was one of the better areas today as well. If I point this out real quick, let me see if this will pop up for you, because I thought this was kind of interesting. If you take a look at this guy here. Oh, I changed it to that thing. Okay, no problem. So if you take a look at real estate there, just a slight gain on the day. Pretty cool. It was a lot of the bigger names today. PLD moved a little bit higher on the day. Your normal strong stocks. American Tower was strong on the day. Crown Castle strong off the 50-day moving average as well. All three of those account for half the day's gains in the XLRE. So kind of a stock-specific move. Energy just refused to break out. The last 3 days there, it's been chopping around sideways. We got a little bounce off an oversold area there, but was one of the weaker areas. It's headed back to being down 40% year to date. It'll have to fall just a little bit more to get there, but that one was pretty weak. ExxonMobil, there you go. ExxonMobil falling 2% on the day, and CVX, really both of those were nearly half the reason why the XLE was lower. You get my drift today? So I'm pointing out a lot of stocks where it's just a couple stocks are pushing the individual sectors lower overall. Looking around at some commodities real quick, you got gold moving back to the upper end of the week's range. Not a lot of excitement in gold today. It basically chopped around sideways throughout the week. Yesterday moved to the low end of the range. Today back up to the high end of the range. That's actually a bullish sign. If you happen to be long gold, you're pretty excited about seeing that. Up 0.5% today to 18.10. If we go over to oil down about 0.5% on the day. 40.56 is where it closed. And that's just overall, if you're looking at the price of gold, the dollar continues to slide there. Not looking too good. We'll go real quickly over to our technical breakdown, talk about a few things, because I do want to share some of this stuff with you. We'll skip the new highs today. We'll go to CTSH. There you go. I'm sorry, CTXS. That's what I want to talk about. Breaking out there, looking new highs. If you're looking for technical patterns, I'll rattle off a few of them for you. You got AES as well, breaking out of a little bit of a range. You got higher lows tightening up overall there. Amcor, if you are familiar with packaging, you're familiar with Amcor. Amcor is looking at this possible breakout as well, trying to give you ideas, right? Things you can look at over the weekend and maybe study. They also have a 4.3% dividend yield if that helps you there, if that's something you're interested in. Good company, big company. Cummins, you got moving to a possible breakout. Catch my drift? There's a lot of stocks hinting at breakouts here. CarMax would be another one there. Not quite, just yet. It's almost working its way there. And then I do want to mention Sherwin-Williams. Holy cow, it broke out. We've been talking about this for 2 days now, finally breaking out. All looks good. I'm going to start to wrap it up because I can hear the rain starting to come this way. I want to point out earnings. Halliburton you've got going on next week. IBM, Logitech, Steel Dynamics, and Zion Banks overall coming up with earnings next week. I will tease the earnings site, the research site if you're sort of interested in playing along with that. The stocks for next week. We posted a lot of the different earnings of different stocks that are coming up next week, so hope you'll check that out. I just wanted to test that. Yeah, that works too. All looking good there. But if you don't mind, I'm going to wrap it up there because it's just going to get really annoying very shortly for you guys if you happen to be watching today. Normally we do Fridays as a recorded version anyways, but we'll maybe, well, we got a second. Come on, let's take a look at, well, we're here. We're here. NEO fell. I saw that. Yeah, NEO down 14% on the day. Goldman Sachs downgraded him, said they're not worth it. It's not worth the price that it's currently trading at. So Goldman Sachs finally getting on the right side there. So that's cool. I thought that was pretty interesting there. Halliburton's got earnings out. They're due to lose money, by the way. So the bar has already been lowered for Halliburton. We'll see what happens there. Also, you got Tesla next week. If I could mention, on the research site, we posted them by volatility, their average gain, and their market cap. One of your more volatile stocks next week is, of course, Tesla. It's not the most volatile stock. You got ISRG reporting on the 21st. Algen reporting, of course, next week. We already talked about that one. And well, a bunch of others there. PetMed comes out on Monday. Those are some of the more volatile names. If you are one of our members on the research site, check it out. We actually pretty much went through everything there so that you could see what was going on there. Yeah. So far the rain's not too bad. You can probably hear it, but it's not too bad. I like it there. Hey, the new highs this week, by the way, or new highs today. If you take a look at the new highs today, it was like a list of the stocks we've been pointing out all week. So great lessons there if that's something you want to take a look at, maybe something to play with over the weekend, right? Just something to look at. If you like breakouts, you like things like that. You got Dr. Horton in the mix, Lennar, which I was wrong on that, by the way. I'll have to admit, I was wrong on the Dr. Horton Lennar play there. Let me see if I can pop over here real quick. Take a look at this. You got DHI breaking out the last couple days, looking very strong, and Lennar good as well. I think I pointed out that Lennar would be the better performer, and actually, this week so far, Dr. Horton has been the better performer. So I always like to admit that. I was just a little bit off there. JB Hunt, the transports that we talked about on Tuesday and Wednesday, looking really good. Old Dominion Freight Lines, nice and strong there. That's a kind of a beast lately there. I'll point out BlackRock real quick. BlackRock breaking out. Earnings were great for them. They beat by 90 cents. Revenues came in better than expected. So really, really cool overall if you happen to catch some of the earnings. There are over 300 companies reporting earnings next week. I hope you get your rest. I hope you're ready for that there. It's going to be a busy week. What else do I have to share with you? I think I'll wrap it up there. There's no dividends, ex-dividend or anything to point out. And I just appreciate you guys hanging out, joining me on a Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, of course. Talk to you next week. Enjoy.